Grace to you and peace from God our Father and from our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. We hear again from the gospel just read, so the chief priests and Pharisees gathered the council and said, "What are we to do? For this man performs many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation." You know, I've preached on this text many times, and you see the religious leaders in Jesus' day trying to regain control of a situation that seems out of control. And the temptation is at first to think that these guys are crazy, until we look in the mirror and we see we do the same thing. All of our lives are a struggle. Try to be in control, to be in charge of our destiny, our lives. We don't like to be told what to do. And this inevitably leads to conflict with parents, teachers, bosses, you name it. Really, sin is self-centeredness. In other words, the world revolves around us. That's built into our human nature. We want to be like God, in control. And our great-great-grandparents, Adam and Eve, tried to take control, and we see what a mess that they caused in the world and their own lives. We see it on down through history to the present. When we try to be in charge, things become a mess. And death is one of the things that even the most powerful people in the world have no power over it. The clock's ticking for all of us, and time is running out. None of us know how long our lives are, and for people that like to be in control, and that's all of us, that's a scary thing. We see in the gospel today Jesus' power over sin, death, and the devil, really. The resurrection of Lazarus from the dead. It was a sign that the Pharisees, the religious leaders of his day, the ruling council, the Sanhedrin, they had asked for a sign. Jesus gave them a sign, and then they plotted to kill him. And they were successful a few weeks later. This trying to be in control. And you see them trying to regain control of the situation, and the religious leader at the time, Caiaphas, we've got to get rid of this one man so that the whole nation doesn't perish. Even though he was corrupt and money hungry and probably didn't have the best relationship with his maker to put the best construction on it, he still prophesied what was to come. One man would die for the nation. Not just for them, but for all people. You're trying to regain control of a situation that seemed out of control. And we tend to do the same thing. When we're in a jam, shift the blame to someone else. You got kids at home, and before the whatever object it is that's fragile hits the floor from their open hand, they've already said, "I didn't do it." It's just a natural reaction. "I didn't do it." "Well, I just saw you do it." We shift the blame to someone else. It's her fault. It's his fault. It's someone else's fault. Make someone else the center of our problems rather than looking in the mirror and seeing where the source of most of our problems come from. But here in the midst of us and others trying to take control of the situation, we know who's in charge, especially as Christians. It's not us. God's in charge. God had a plan all along. In fact, this plan wasn't just a new plan that was developed a week or two before Jesus' death, but a long time before. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus says, explains to the disciples what's going to happen. He's going to die and rise again. He's going to be betrayed into the hands of sinful men. And even Peter took him aside one time and said, no, this isn't going to happen to you. You go back to the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, and God had a plan. It says, from the offspring of the woman would come one who would crush the head of the serpent, pointing forward to the cross in Christ. His atoning work triumphing over the devil. When we realize that we don't have control over even our own salvation, over the span of our life, over those around us and everything else, it's an awful, helpless feeling to come to that conclusion if you didn't realize that there is someone in control, and it's God. He was in control all along, and He's got a plan for us, a plan of salvation, a plan to bring hope and peace. We see the effects. The Sanhedrin gets their way and gets rid of Jesus, and 33 years later, their temple is destroyed, their nation. When we try to get Jesus out of the equation and try to run our own lives, it's equally a mess. When tragedy strikes and things aren't working according to our own plan, we need to come to that realization that God's in charge. St. Paul once said, all things work out for good for those who love the Lord, who have been called according to His purpose. You know, Mary and Martha in the gospel put their faith and trust in Jesus. They knew that He could even raise their brother from the dead. And He did. You know, I like to fly. And I've been flying since I was a toddler. I flew to Midway Island on a DC-6 when I was only 2 years old, and I've been flying ever since. I love the feeling of sitting in the seat of an airplane as all the engines power up and it begins racing down the runway, and you get thrown back in your seat, and I love that feeling. For some people, it's a terrifying experience. For me, I like that feeling of acceleration and taking off. And I have this trust that must come from my early childhood. Pilots have never let me down yet. But there's that same feeling of realizing we can sit back and realize that God's in control. And what a peaceful feeling that is. How relaxing it can be to realize God's in charge. He's in control. Turning over our life. The keys to the steering wheel of our lives to God is a stress-relieving experience. Letting Him take charge. May we find that peace that only He gives by turning the control over to Him. Letting Him in charge of our lives, our world. Amen. And now may the peace of God, which passes all human understanding, keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus, life everlasting.